how many of you know Semrush? Or how many of you knew Semrush before coming here? Almost all of you, wow. So we're doing our employer branding job well, I guess, hopefully. But for those who don't, just a few factoids about the company. Semrush is US-based public company. It's a SaaS company. We exist for 15 years, and our Prague office was opened in 2016, actually. So, like half of our age has been experienced here in Prague. And what else? We have 13 offices in 9 countries around the world right now. So we're growing quite a lot. And most importantly, we do the product, and the product speaks for itself. Our product is loved by digital marketers. We help digital marketers, business owners to grow ahead, to get ahead of their competition with the help of SEO, keywords, analytics, ORM, you name it. This is kind of like a short intro. We, of course, will be able to talk about it later. And actually, let me invite to the stage our first speakers who will be from Semrush, who maybe not tell you too much about the product, but will definitely tell you a lot about our processes. So please welcome Alina, Latypova, and Kiedrowska. And just a fun fact, actually, Alina used to study Biblical Hebrew for a while, and Anna is originally Polish, but been to Prague a few times, and her memorable time was connected with a tap dancing workshop. So I only can wish at this moment that your most memorable time will be today. Sure.
Okay, we need to open the speaker.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Jana, for this nice intro. Hello, everyone. I think. Just a second. But maybe we can start. I will save our time. You know, it's a little bit challenging to squeeze our story in 20 minutes, but we'll still try. So as Jana said, we are part of our product research team here in Semrush. And today, it's helpful. Today we want to present you our research perspective on the probably well-known for you process, which is product development process. So let's see where this story or this research adventure actually for us started. But it started quite typically. You know, one day a product team came to us with this significant business question, right? Are you familiar, or do you like relate to this questions? It's short, but not simply, actually. It's a challenging business question, which makes it also challenging for us researchers. Like, depending on how you analyze this question, how you approach it, you may end up in different directions, right? You can, this research process, and of course, the product or process, whatever you work for, can develop in different directions. And to be honest, at the day or the moment, let's say, when the product team came to us, we didn't know like where our process, where our research, or how it will develop. What's more, we didn't know that we are just entering the long-term research path. But, well, surprisingly, 2 years later, 10 projects or 10 studies later, and with 2 researchers involved, me and Alina in this case, one thing we know very well right now, and this is what we want to share with you. We learned a lot with this process, with this research process, about our research practice. We learned a lot. There was a lot of challenging moments, and this is actually what we wanted to present and share with you today. And I will let Alina to tell you a little bit more what happened during these 2 years and what we actually did.
Okay. Basically, when we talk about continuous research, it's important to understand what exactly we imply by continuous research in our case. Here you can see this quite typical generic outline of different stages of product development, right? Starting from the idea generation up until to the product launch. And what we imply by the continuous research, we imply that at each of these stages, we conducted different research projects, And we conducted them on the ongoing basis, and those research projects were the basis for decision-making for each stage. Basically, as Anna started, the first question was simple: why users churn, right? And we learned some reasons. And then we wanted to know what is the most important reason, or which group of churned users is the biggest and the promising one. And we found a group that would that for us looked showed some potential. And we conducted another research. We learned a little bit more about their needs, about their workflows. And with that information, we came up with some features that probably would be helpful for them. And another research that we conducted, we prioritized those features. We learned what's most important for this promising group of people, and basically how much they would be willing to pay for a solution that contains those features. With that information, based on that information, a concept was developed and it was tested, and then it was improved and tested once again. And when the actual tool was developed, we conducted some other more narrow, more specific research projects, and as well as we assessed the data quality of this tool, which eventually it led to the beta testing. Probably you were wondering, like, what was the tool? What are the specifications? What's the current stage? However, unfortunately, we cannot share that information, but what we could share is some lessons that we learned along the way.
When preparing to this presentation, we, analyzed everything what we've did, and we understood that there is like 3 pillars that help us proceed with this long-term research project. And we would like to talk a little bit more about them. Let's start maybe with some examples of flexibility, how we understand that. So some examples. First is, related to the changes on the market. So when you start a long-term research and you have this perspective of at least, several months, we understood it afterwards. You need to be open to some changes because actually everything changes. It's not only your product somehow changes in the meantime, but actually context that you work for, right? Your competitors. And here, well, surprise, surprise, that was the time when ChatGPT became a thing. And you can only imagine how frustrated a researcher might be when you work hardly on these interviews, right? You just make it for several months. You prepare this report full of insights, and then bam, something changed. And actually, you have to come to your team and say, well, part of our knowledge is irrelevant. It's not valid anymore. Well, that was kind of frustration. So what we've learned with that, and this topic was kind of important for us as well. So what we've learned with this, when you enter this long research journey, you need to be open for this kind of risk and for the changes. What we could do, of course, we didn't start the research all over from the beginning because the majority of that was still valid. But we used some assumptions. We used, of course, our expertise of the industry, some assumptions, and our understanding of the industry. So we use this knowledge still to deliver the knowledge to the product team. So lessons learned: be open. It can happen. Things changes, and then of course we, as we did some assumptions about this topic around this topic. We also monitor. We started to monitor on top of our other projects that were planned. We started to monitor this, of course, topic when planning other projects. So that's about the flexibility. Another example is related to materials that we are preparing. We researchers, during our research projects, we tend to learn a lot, even more than needed. And well, we still value this, right? Knowledge, because it's kind of unique opportunity when we talk to users. Not everybody talk to users in our company, so we want to save this knowledge. But you can imagine also again a little bit of failure, like a small failure. We delivered this first report that contains 36 slides. Well, imagine what happened next day. There's maybe you rewrite it, like, can you process it better? Like, we don't need all of this. And that was our lessons learned also from this. We get to the point where for the last projects, we actually prepared different deliverables for different teams. So for example, for designers, we prepared some screenshot in the Miro board. Maybe for the product owners, we would come up with a table so they can screen faster our findings. And for some managers, just 3 or 4 slides. So that was a good examples. Be flexible.
Okay. So another thing that got us through these 2 years of research was knowledge sharing. So you could probably imagine that 2 years, it's a long time period, and people come and go, teams change, there are always new people, new project managers, new participants, collaborators. And for the project to be successful, it's very important that everybody shares the same context and shares at the same deep level. And what we did to ensure the continuity of the research and the knowledge sharing process is that with the help of our REOPS managers, with your help, we we made this knowledge base that contains all the important details about each project and details regarding all the decisions that were made based on our project. As well as with each new person, with each new collaborator, we would onboard them on our findings. And it was quite repetitive and maybe boring, right? To just tell everything all over again for the new person, but the same information. Yes, maybe it was, but it was also exciting and inspiring when this new person, based on that knowledge, would come up with some new ideas, new initiatives. Another thing is probably also very familiar to basically everybody, is that there are some projects with quite tight deadlines, or stakeholders just urging you to deliver the results faster. And what we did in that case, we started to engage our product owners into the user sessions more. So I'm aware that there are a few product owners here, so maybe this might be relevant to you as well. So we engage product owners, and just to be present at those interviews, make notes, maybe stay for a small debrief to exchange observations and insights. And we ended up having some major decisions regarding the next steps made even before the research report was completed, because the product owners, they already had some most important information learned during the data gathering process.
Okay, so the third pillar of our, which help us proceed, with this long-term research, is resources. Alina told me that she doesn't like this word, but I didn't come up with the better. What I mean, of course, is us, people and our time, and the time of our coworkers. So we spent quite a lot of time to figure out at the beginning how to structure the research team around this long-term journey that was ahead. So from one hand, we knew that it's going to take time, right? It's going to be engaging. So somehow, we need to plan the other projects, the research project. It's not the only one that we actually have, right, to deal with. And again, so our first attempt was, let's do it. Let's go for it. We started in 4. At that time, all of our researchers. Was it a best idea? Probably not. We thought that engaging 4 different researchers in this very, robust first stage of the research, when we did the exploration, we believed that it bring us closer and faster to the understanding of the topic. No. So with all different approaches, and we need to admit that some of us were quite new to the company, so I don't know, maybe competition, maybe not, but we had different approaches, to the analysis of data. We spent a lot of time on communication between each other So we wasn't like very efficient. So then we sat and we decided, like we started to look like what kind of configuration we can have in our team. And we understood also that this project would be engaging. So maybe one researcher taking this topic, like going through this whole product development process as this research support, it's not enough. So we decided to bring 2 researchers as a long-term involved people in this project, and we decided not to rotate. So like we will always be with Alina responsible for this topic, and that was quite interesting experiment. I'm still like wondering what would happen if we would, for example, rotate and for evaluative part, for example, engage other researchers, right? That could be also interesting. But actually, this scenario, this approach, help us to, from one side, handle more complex projects, the ones that you saw on the axis. Together, we could proceed efficiently, but also we were not a blockage for the development process where there was like several topics to cover. So example, we could take the smaller projects at the same time, like split between us, or they could overlap. So we can, not to block, the rest of the product team on the work. So that was quite interesting. If you want to, of course, talk and exchange some experience on that, like how you work with pairs or solo as a researcher, I'm super happy to discuss later on. And still about people, not resources. The other examples very briefly, that's an interesting one because we sometimes researchers, you probably feel it, we are not proud of it, but we need to unfortunately trade off times more complex methods against the deadlines, right? We maybe would like to proceed on a not that fast as we need to, or with our business need. We would like to take more time to, some methods just take more time or to execute or to prepare for them. But sometimes there is no time. And this is what happened also that at one of the stages when we have the concept for testing. And as you maybe know, the concept testing stage is not the easiest one, right? Because for us as researchers and for our respondents, because we don't have yet detailed idea, we can't really show the details, but we still need to understand if we go, or the product team goes a good direction. And we did it with Alina, but after, so we, invited several respondents to the interviews to like check if we're going the good directions. But after few interviews, we understand that something is wrong. Like people were like super optimistic or way too optimistic about the solutions without, knowing the details. And the problem was that our products, usually if you're not familiar with, like looks like that. So what user deals is like numbers, tables, graphs. And with the first concept, we understood that people, it's hard for them to relate to those, very first, the very first concept, because we used some fake data in the prototypes. So there was a bright idea from the team, and we decided to actually make this effort, engage more people and engage more time, something that we really like, and develop customized prototypes. So every respondent who came to our interview got a customized prototype for himself or herself, meaning that they could relate to the data that we use. They know what data is there in the prototype. That works like perfectly. Like users were more engaged, more motivated to tell us more, and we actually got this feedback as we wish, and it wasn't that optimistic as it was at the beginning, right? As you can see. So that's also, it's a very that was quite innovative. We never did it before, but that was an expensive, let's say, solution, because we involved like four UX designers or UI designers to to create those prototypes. So, and we spent a lot of more time on this research.
Okay, so remember the first question, like the simple question, why people churn, and then how it turned out in very disproportionate way that we spent 2 years, we conducted a lot of projects, there were 2 people involved just to answer that. And basically this natural question comes up, was it worth it? And well, of course, I think yes. And here's why. First of all, with our research, we helped to shape the tool basically from nothing. Initially, there was some promising ideas, promising groups of people, and we ended up by having definite features that are relevant to the user's needs and cover their workflows. As well as we drive the implementation of the AI solution to feed the market better, and also we supported Semrush's reputation of having high quality data. Apart from that, what we did is we brought some very essential information for some decision making. For example, we helped to prioritize features for the development, and also we provided those optimal price ranges for the economical modeling. And what about us, like as researchers, with all that impact, with all that collaboration with different people, with different teams, what we did is we advocated UX research in our company. So before we move on to your questions, I would like to remind that there is no universal approach that would work for everybody, and maybe taking these lessons or the process that we introduced, and it wouldn't probably suit your specific situation. But here are some three concepts, three words that we would like you to remember if you start this long journey with continuous and ongoing research. First of all, be prepared to be flexible at each step. And also, it's like with cooperation, it's kind of obvious that you need to cooperate with people, but it's not only about that, it's also about being proactive and initiative with the cooperation. And be ready to invest some resources and effort, and hopefully that pays off. Thanks a lot for your attention. And if you want to learn more, or I don't know, ask more questions, we will be here for the networking session as well.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Alina. It was very deep dive as suits UX researchers, I guess. So I'm pretty sure that your presentation inspired some questions, because you ask a lot of questions in your presentations, and you ask on a daily.
And in the live.
Yes. And in live, yeah. Do we have any questions? Is there something that needs? Yeah, we have one. Amazing. Could you please kindly present yourself? I'm sorry, and ask your question.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the presentation. My name is Lukáš, and I work as a UX designer. Right. But I'm also responsible for research in my role. And the question is, how did you find relevant participants throughout the process? 2 years is a lot, and I believe that that could be quite challenging to find always relevant participants when you need it.
Okay, that was one of our pain points, because it's always hard to recruit. Yes, that's a common problem. It's hard to recruit people. But what we did is that we basically, when we write this research plan, we always have backup plan. We have our, for example, main source of recruitment, but we also have some backup plans. And the main source of recruitment is always some users at Semrush that we email, and there are a lot of users that come to Semrush daily. So it's a huge pool of people. Still, it's kind of hard to recruit them, because the response rate to the email is low. But I think that here we have some advantage, because there are a lot of users at Semrush and a lot of new people that come to Semrush. But even with that resource, sometimes we fail, and in that cases we just use some external panels, like user interviews, for example. That's always our backup plan. I hope it answers your question.
Thank you so much. Any more questions? Yes. Very happy to see so many questions.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge. My name is Karina. I'm a PM, and I'm interested in money. You mentioned that you help with pricing. Can you maybe elaborate on that? Because it's quite challenging usually with user research. You cannot ask how much money you would pay, because usually they would love to save nothing, for free. So how did you approach it?
I need to make it right. Thanks. Great question, of course. Well, there is no one unique technique or method to assess the, in this case was the willingness to pay, right? Because we don't have yet the product in this stage, so you want to just kind of assess how much people maybe want to pay for that. And there is, you know, I think we still, I don't know if we will repeat actually the same thing again in the another project, because there's, like I'm saying, there's no one which is a method that is perfect. So here, actually, we use the Van Westendorp test, the willingness to pay. You can, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but this is like one of the more popular. So that was a quantitative part of it. Of course, we have from the qualitative part also some first, you know, insights on that, like what, for example, like what ranges people might consider, but also this data was used, you know, then we like translate this data with other internal knowledge and from other expertise, like, you know, like business analytics in the company. So there was no one, I need to admit that there was no one source. So that was also like the supportive method. Engaging, fascinating to work with. I felt like doing my another master degree when I prepared to this. Alina is better in quant, so that was quite easy for her. But yeah, that was interesting also from the research perspective, like to experiment with new things. That was something new for us.
Thank you. More questions? Yes. Well, two more. No. Okay.
Thanks. Stefan here.
Hi,
I work as a researcher at Trezor. First question is related to, let's say, the structure, how your research department works.
1900.
That wasn't me.
Okay.
How you as a research team work in the company. Who was the one, like the stakeholder who invited you to do all this work? The first question. And the second, if the timeline was like already known, or if you were figuring it out, like we need to do this and address this question, and it took then 2 years.
I can start with the timeline. Okay. So that was, I think, the short answer here. No, we didn't know, like nothing, right? So as I said, like when we started, we didn't know even where you know, where this this project will go, which direction. So we didn't expect that it will take that much from the research perspective, I'm saying, right? So of course, with the all other stages that you learn more, and of course you started to have this plan, but from the beginning, like, if you ask me about the like very initial stage, no, we didn't. And first, about the structure, want to comment?
Yep. So your question was who basically approached us with this suggestion or this question, right? So if I'm not mistaken, because well, it took 2 years, but I think it was like high-level managers. I'm not sure about the exact titles because they also changed during these 2 years. But it was like not just us coming up with that idea or somebody on our level. It was from like stakeholders with higher level. If that answers your question.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and sharing your knowledge. My name is Lucy. I work as a user researcher, and what I just can't stop thinking about, how did you manage to convince your company to actually invest in building customized prototypes and actually also get all the time for that?
I'm not sure if it took a lot of convincing, to be honest. So at some point, this project became a like higher priority. So everybody was interested in it. So basically that comes with some resources. It was like easier to engage some other designers to join us for those customized prototypes. Also, I believe it took some work from our product owners who were ready also to invest their time to basically gather that data, because designers, I believe they prepare the prototypes, right? But the data gathering was on product owners, if I'm not mistaken. So that's some shared responsibilities as well. Like people were ready to, like, you know, do more to get it accomplished. Yeah.
Thank you. And just one question. Do you remember like how many customized prototypes did you make and how long did it take? Maybe like how many extra days, weeks did you have to add to your project?
Do you remember?
I don't know if you remember the exact days, but that was very, very intensive work. So if you could imagine, So it wasn't that we were waiting for this prototype, because at some point we already had respondents scheduled for another day, for example, or 2 days, right? So this is why we needed these resources. Sorry, our colleagues help us, like designers, just enter, and they like work a lot and spend a lot of time, just for example, to prepare those prototypes for the another day. So that was very like cumulative effort. So everyone like could proceed. And I think like about one maybe sentence about convincing. I think we communicated quite clearly that with what we have, we can't provide the product team the exact feedback. And so when it's on the concept, stage, you can't really, we couldn't deliver the knowledge that was needed at the time. So I think that everyone understood that we need to make this effort. And yeah, that was a great experience, and it actually worked fantastically.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. More questions? One more question.
Hi, my name is Valery. I'm a product marketing manager. And as I work cross-functionally with other teams, I would like to ask, where do you draw the line between UX research and product research? Or do you consider this as the same thing for you at Semrush?
Okay, let me think. So initially, like 2 years ago, we still were a user experience researcher, but then we had this restructuring process in our company, and back then we became product researchers, and that was because at that point we were more involved in the generative research, right? In the research that was related to like this particular idea that was built around that idea, and it was not about some like designs or usability. It was about user needs and how we could answer those needs. It was like more generative, and maybe that's the line that we draw for ourselves, how to distinguish product researcher from UX researcher. But also I want to like admit that this line is like still, it's blurry, right? It's not that we exclusively do generative research or something. So that's
Can I add to again? I will add my personal opinion on that. And I don't know if I'm the only one that also, again, I'm open to focus. I would be, I think the best way or the word to use for our job is just the research. I'm really not a fan of using those titles. UX research, product research, design research, like, come on, like we are just researching, we're studying the things. So I don't, that's like, for me personally, it's very blurred, and we don't have this, I think, distinction, even if we use some titles. So let's discuss afterwards.
Yeah, thank you so much for your questions. I'm pretty sure there are more, but to keep the timeline going, I suggest you could address the questions later on during the networking. Thank you so much, Anna, Alina.
Thanks.